There you go.
Warning! Please don't attempt to perform any of the stunts or activities in this show as they are dangerous and can lead to very serious injury. Video submissions of any kind are not accepted by One Side of the Coin or Heads or Tails Gaming.
Perfect. Hey, she got it right this time. She didn't
Yeah, I
surprise
actually
me.
got it.
Welcome back. Welcome back to One Side of the Coin. I'm your host, Steveo the Gamer. With me, as always,
Mack-Attack.
and look who's on the screen. We have a very special guest, the one and the only, the Scheming Skeleton, a fellow.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? How you been? For one,
I've been good.
That's
going
to be
Thank
my
you for
first
having
start
me
off.
on. This is my pleasure to be on here.
Oh, trust me, the pleasure's all on this side. We're very welcome to have you on the show. Finally, like I know we had discussed this in the past ever since the Genesis 2021 Championship when I first met you. And then we're like, hey, we gotta get on a stream together, right? So
It's taken 2 years to do this.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I mean,
Wow.
a lot of stuff has happened since then, and a lot of things going on and whatnot.
Gosh.
So I mean, but I mean, we have talked via social medias a couple of times and whatnot, and phone calls, etc. So which is really really cool that we've stayed in touch and in contact with you, right? So
Pops in the stream time to time. I see him in there.
yeah, pops in the stream time. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for supporting us. It is highly appreciated.
Of course. I'm usually hiding in the background sometimes, or I have it on my TV in the background, and I'm just kind of watching through the other account.
Nice.
So if you guys don't see me there, I'm still usually there. I'm just on my other family account that we have through the TV. So.
And
nice.
that's greatly appreciated. We love the support behind you. I follow you as well on YouTube, and I check out all your content. I was actually rewatching a lot of stuff that you had put out recently.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much.
And whatnot. So, first off, how'd you get into content creating? What was your decision in saying, hey, I want to sit down in front of this camera and start putting out some content?
What inspired it, yeah.
And then, your inspiration.
So, I've told this story a few times before, so I'll give you the short version of it to not bore people who already may know. But so in '93, not long after my parents got divorced, my mom remarried, and my stepfather used to run card and coin shows here in my town in Ohio.
Okay.
And so what he would do, him and his father, which was my step-grandfather, would run card and coin shows for everyone. And the guy who still owns the LGS in my town here, he was one of the first people into Magic, like in the country. Like he got into Magic the Gathering right away. I remember he showed up in like a suit and tie, and he had like Black Lotus and Power 9 up on these little placards, and he wanted like $200 for a Black Lotus, and people were laughing at him because they're going like, what is this stupid game? No one plays, like trading card games weren't a thing.
Yeah.
So people were like, what is this stupid card? You know, why are you trying to get this amount of money for it? Well, as a kid, I was drawn to it because of the art. It was fantasy cards. It wasn't sports cards like I collected as a kid that I wasn't really into. So that was my start of like trading cards, and then ever since then, like most Magic players, I've on and off played Magic, played other trading card games. That's just how it's always been. And I would say the reason I got involved in content creation was when Flesh and Blood came out. So I actually fell into Flesh and Blood completely by accident. So Rudy, the guy that does YouTube stuff, Alpha Investments, he was selling a bunch of Force of Will stuff, and I got Force of Will and Flesh and Blood confused, and I ordered a box of Flesh and Blood thinking it was Force of Will.
Okay.
And I got the cards, and I'm like, what the hell is this card game? How have I never heard of this? And then I realized it was the wrong thing, and it just, like, the artwork struck me, like, the gameplay struck me as really unique and fun. And I was, it was right when the pandemic hit. This was like, I think actually I filmed my first video on December 31st, December 30th or December 31st of 2019, and then the pandemic and all that happened.
Yeah.
So I had all this time on my hands, and I was like, well, maybe I'm going to do some videos just talking about this experience I had opening Flesh and Blood, and I got a bunch of really good cards at the time. Like, I opened that one box and got like $900 worth of cards, so I was like freaking out, like when I saw the value.
Yeah.
So that was what made me want to start doing content creation. So I did like video game stuff. I had another channel that was called The Scheming Skeleton, but it was for video games and stuff. And my channel for Flesh and Blood was called Flesh and Bones. I did that up until I got a spoiler card with them, and not long after, I kind of had a falling out with Legendary Studios. And I tried to stick with the game. I really liked the community. I had fun playing for a while. But then the game started pulling me away a little bit. Like when Tales of Aria came out, I didn't really like the set. I didn't think it was very fun to play. So I wanted to move away from just doing one card game and focus on a little bit more. So at that point, I decided, well, I'm going to take the Scheming Skeleton name from my video game channel and just turn it into a trading card and video game channel. Yeah. So you'll see video game stuff pop up once in a while. But mostly, as you guys know, my focus is on trading cards. So, yeah, it was born in the pandemic, like a lot of other people's streams and fun things to do, you know.
It was ours.
Yeah.
I kind of regret not streaming as much as I possibly could have during the pandemic, but I mean,
it was a start.
It was a start for us, basically. Yeah. So, I mean, our inspiration was based off of, as you know, Genesis Battle Champions. When we first got in with that too. But I mean, owning the game store as well, Heads or Tails Gaming, right? So it's like incorporating all the other stuff that I carry. Now, we never really got into Flesh and Blood. It was offered. It's just we didn't see a lot of requests for it here at the store and whatnot. But I mean, the artwork is absolutely phenomenal. I've seen the cards. And,
I mean,
he runs.
There he comes.
I'm sorry, I had to grab. I realized my computer was dying. I didn't have the one thing I didn't plug in. Also, I want to show you something. Another cool thing from my time. I would say it's my most treasured thing from my time as a content creator. And I've had offers for it, but I'll never sell it. It is a card from Flesh and Blood, Fate Foreseen, and this is a special card because not only is this a signed version by the artist, but it's a non-foil version since it's an artist proof. So I don't know how many of these exist, but this artist, Alexandra Meligina, she is from, gosh, I can't remember where she's from, but she doesn't necessarily really sign stuff a lot. Like people will message her and be like, hey, will you sign my cards? Well, I sent her a letter and I said, I really like your artwork. I think it's fantastic. And I said, would you mind signing a few cards that I included in an envelope? And she was like, you know, I hadn't heard back for a while, so I thought, oh, maybe she didn't respond. Well, then I get this in the mail, along with the cards that she'd sent me that I asked her to sign. And she said, no one's really taken the time to write me a letter. That's like such an old-fashioned thing nowadays. Yep. And she said, so I wanted to include this as a present. And that was so nice. And then on the back, she put best wishes.
Oh, nice. That's so cool.
That is awesome.
So yeah, so that's probably the coolest thing I've ever received as a content creator. It's something really special. I mean, I've had people be like, I'll give you $1,000 for that thing. I'm like, I would not sell that for anything. Yeah, I mean, that'll die with me because that was just such a cool experience. But yeah, so this whole thing as a content creator just kind of came out, like I said, out of the pandemic, out of nowhere, and it's been amazing meeting people like you and you know, all the creators of these games, and it's been a roller coaster at times, but it's been great.
Well, I think being a content creator and trying to outline like what you're going to talk about, kind of thing, can be a bit of a struggle. I mean, I've been talking to some other fellow content creators, and it's like they were saying they wanted to give up, kind of thing, you know, and it's like because they don't feel that they're very good and whatnot. And just talking to them, it's like, pardon me.
Oh, you're fine.
And no, I had a cough there.
Oh.
And like I told them, like the best advice that I could give them, right, from what we do, right, and it's like, regardless, keep it fun, right? Like as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, right? Regardless, because like Mack-Attack and I, we've had a lot of negative comments towards us.
They're more funny though.
Yeah, some of them are a little funny. Like they're telling us, people had told us, oh, you should be streaming this way, you should be having this, you should be doing that.
Or the fact that we can't open the pack half the time.
Yeah, like she's using her teeth, right? Like a ton of negative feedback, but it's like, okay, we accept it, right? And it's like, but we don't let it get under our skin. We enjoy what we're doing. We love it, and as long as it's fun, and if we can even reach out to just one person that can simply say, I liked your stream, we had fun watching it, That's
enough
all
for
that
us.
matters.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know a lot of content creators, they put stuff out to be monetized, right? They do it as a job, and which I understand, kind of
Sure.
thing. But or wanting the 50 million, somewhat subscribers and whatnot, etc. And it's like, but that's not our goal, right? Our aim is just to enjoy what we're putting out there, informing, like, say, our community and whatnot, and prior to, especially for the Genesis and whatnot. But we're gonna
Yeah,
find
it's
out.
hard not to chase. It's hard not to always chase those goals. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had a goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers since I've started the channel. Just my personal goal. That's the point where you can get monetized and all that. Now, does the monetization at 1,000 subscribers mean anything to me? No, but I just set it as my personal goal of that's what I'd like to hit. It's hard not to want to chase those goals, and there's no reason to chase them. What I've realized is the more I chase stupid goals, the less fun I have. So I put out, a community post a while ago about how I was just like, I felt that I was bored making content for a little bit, and I needed to take a step back, and I had life things and work things going on. And sometimes I'll surprise myself and do like 2 or 3 videos a week, and people are like, I thought you were breaking away from content creation. It's like, well, I might do 3 this week, but I might not do another one for a month if I have nothing to talk about. Like,
Right.
I want to get back to just, like, the recent Lord of the Rings one I did, a lot of people like that had messaged me and said, it was just cool to hear your thoughts and feelings on the set as someone who's played Magic for a long time, and on Magic as a whole, and just your experience. A lot of people just like hearing about other people's experiences. What their day-to-day thing is when they go to an LGS or whatever it is they're into. So I agree with you. If you don't have fun doing it, then why are you even doing it? Plus, people give up too quick. They expect like instant feedback, instant results, and like, I remember when I hit 100 subscribers, I was like losing my mind. I'm like, there's 100 people that want to watch me? Like, that's crazy,
Yeah. It kind of shocked us. I know Mack-Attack was kind of keeping track of like how many subscribers if we're gaining. We got we gained 1. We got all really excited and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does get us kind of pumped up, right? And knowing that very well that somebody does actually want to watch our content, it's gratifying. But I mean, our ultimate goal is not to hit those super high numbers. If it happens, it's nice, right? But I mean, we just want to keep our community engaged, have fun, and enjoy it, right? So for the most
Well, that's part of the reason that I had the Patreon too, and that was doing really well. Like, it was able to get me this stand I'm using for my lights and a camera and all kinds of stuff from people sending me money on Patreon because they wanted to see the content I was creating. So, I didn't have the spare money at the time to just be thrown into this stuff. So, I got to do trips, because of that. I went to South Carolina and did the Compete Sport 5K for Genesis.
Nice.
We got to go to the World Championship for Genesis. I got to go. I helped at Origins for Genesis. There's just so many different things I got to do because we had that spare money. So when I felt like that wasn't something I necessarily was going to see myself doing anymore, like with kids getting bigger and stuff, and it's too hard to go to events all the time, and I wasn't enjoying the like filming events thing, and I just felt like people weren't getting whatever it was that they were putting into Patreon. So I thought, well, what I'll do is close the Patreon, but then I had thought about reopening it, and I had asked a few people, and the only reason I had thought about reopening it was because some people gave me the idea of, like, you could do special stuff that wouldn't normally fit on the channel that maybe people want to watch, and maybe you can offer that. Like, you see that with a lot of podcasts and a lot of other things where someone would be like, well, this isn't content that normally fits on the channel, but if you're interested, I can put it on Patreon and charge you like $1 a month or something, so you still feel like you're giving something that you want to give.
Yeah.
But I would rather have that money go towards someone's hobby or charity or something else. I mean, the community has done enough to help me get started with the equipment I have, and I don't really need anything else other than that. So I'm very appreciative of that as it is, and I just feel like continuing to put that pressure on myself by like, oh, I got to make this stuff for my patrons, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. As Andrew in the chat from Cardboard Cohorts just said,
Yeah, I was just
making
reading
content when you have a busy schedule already just feels like another job, and the fun can be taken out of it. That's exactly how it felt. The most fun I have is doing stuff like this. When I'm on the Bone Zone, the podcast I do with my buddy George, when I'm on the Bone Zone, that's like the most fun I have. It's just 2 guys, and George said the same thing. He's like, it's one of my favorite things to do is just sit down and talk about cards with you once a month.
Yeah. Enjoy your
It's just fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's more old school in the how the way when I was a kid, how we did things, how I did things. I met with my friends in person. We play Magic at a coffee shop. We talk about cards all day. So it feels very familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I look forward to Thursdays coming down here. It's like, it's fun for me. Whenever my friends ask what I got going on Thursday, I'm like, yeah, I got work. This is work.
You call it work?
This is work.
It's not really work, but
No, it's not. It's fun.
We really enjoy
But
it.
it's
But I like
fun,
my job.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you enjoy it, especially if you enjoy what you're doing and and it's work, that's amazing. That's all you could ask for, you know.
Yeah, I think one of my key favorite moments, dressing up.
Oh my
and
God.
acting out on streams, some of the funny streams that we put out, right? Some of the crazy stuff that I've created for Genesis.
Yeah,
right,
dude
kind of
almost
thing.
threw up.
So yeah, so like doing stuff like that, I really enjoy it, and it just makes it a lot more fun, right? So, but I think once it starts getting that feeling of it's a job, right? It's mandatory that you have to do this or whatever.
It gets tiring.
Not necessarily tiring, but just it doesn't have that same feeling, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very like you're just, okay, what's the next thing I gotta make? Not like, what's the next thing I want to make?
Yeah.
Like, what's the next thing I can do that's gonna be fun to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm getting back to that for sure.
Nice.
Which is, it's nice for me to feel like I just have the time to do it now when I want to. So.
Okay, I got a bold question for you. It's a very, very important question. It's the most important question anyone will ever be asked.
She had these all planned out.
The
so.
pressure's on.
The pressure is on. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is
Yeah.
actually blue.
Blue,
Oh,
really?
Blue.
When I was a kid, it was orange, but if you ask my wife, like, everything I have is blue. It's all
What
wearing a
shade
blue
of
shirt
blue?
Right now. I mean,
A specific shade.
Yeah, what shade of blue?
oh, I like a dark blue, like a cobalt blue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything I wear is like blue all the time. So,
Nice.
but I'm very fond of green too because of the scheming skeleton thing. I like the green flames and
That's
yeah,
You
my
just made her day.
favorite
You just made her day.
yeah, green.
Ah,
Yeah.
neon
You just made
green.
her day. Smile on her face. So the most like I know you put out a video on the Lord of the Rings set for Magic, but you've been following this a video game, and I know we briefly chatted about it on the phone. So I'm afraid to pronounce it.
It's okay, Mithril.
Mithril, thank you.
Yeah.
That's not that hard.
Oh, is that
Mithril.
is that the video game that you used to stream?
No, so Mithril is think of it as like Hearthstone. It's a lot like Hearthstone, but it's the cool thing about it and what kind of drew me to it was the creator messaged me kind of out of the blue and was like, "Hey, I really like what you do," and I get this email from a lot of different game creators like, "Would you talk about it on my channel or on your channel?" And I'll be completely honest, there's been a few that have reached out to me, and my honest answer to them was, this isn't something that I am interested in or I think I would want to cover on my channel, and I don't want to do your game some kind of injustice by saying, like, oh, this game sucks, or this is ugly, I don't like it. So I just tell them, I'm sorry, don't send me anything, I appreciate it, that's very thoughtful. And they always have messaged me back and been like, thank you for being honest with me.
Yeah.
So one recent one, before we get to Mithril, I had this guy reach out to me about this Runes of Eid. It's like an LCG. It's like little chibi characters. It's very similar to a bunch of different games I played. And I'm going to do a review on the channel talking about it soon. But yeah, so that guy reached out to me and just sent me like a little kit and was like, hey, check it out. Same thing with like Alpha Clash. They reached out to me. But with Mithril, they reached out to me about it and he said, hey, I have this digital game, this digital version of it that comes before the physical if you want to try it out. And immediately I was like, no, I hate online games. Like, I don't want to play a TCG online. And he's like, will you just log on for like just a second and try it out? If you don't like it, whatever. Well, so for the creator to get on with you and then like play with you for like an hour, that's really cool. Like, he got on and took the time to like show me the game, explain it. It felt very similar to Hearthstone, and what he's trying to do with it won't appeal to a lot of people, and who knows if it's going to be a success or not. Obviously, no one knows, but he's taking more of a approach like you have to invest in the card game, even the digital side, if you want to play the game. Like, you don't get these free decks. You can do like a free, I think they call it Vortex Realm, where you can, and Gauntlet, where you can get in, they give you a pre-made deck, and it's just random every time.
Okay.
That's free to play. But if you want to actually like build decks and compete, you have to buy digital packs. And each regular pack that you buy will come with a code, like you've seen Pokemon and other things do, for a digital pack. The difference is, like, from what I understand, the card pool is, they're only selling the Kickstarter version cards right now until, like, July 1st or something, and then they're done. They're going to do a second edition. But it's very similar to how paper card games work. So the cards are going to be limited to a certain amount. If you want them, in this special art, you can only get them out of digital packs. So it's this really weird thing where it's like a digital game being treated like a physical card game, which would turn a lot of people off. But I think that's why I kind of looked into it more, was I like the idea of being able to trade these digital cards amongst people and have a digital collection cool, alongside your physical collection. Because if I don't have my physical collection with me and I'm on the road and I want to play something, I can still jump in and play that same deck that I have at home, but now in a digital form. And yes, there's Magic Online and things similar to that, but he's really trying to make it so that the digital client is where you try first, and you have the option to play either digital or physical. So physical's coming soon. Kickstarter stuff is going to ship, he said possibly the end of summer. Originally their date was like December, but he's got a lot of stuff quicker than he thought. So, shortly after that releases, he's going to do a second edition in print, and that'll have different artwork for some of the more rare cards. Kind of this idea of you can reprint the rare cards, the super rare cards with Kickstarter, in a second edition with different art, and that makes it more of like a reserve list for the art and not the cards. We've seen Cryptic do that too, and I really like that idea of, you know, the One Ring right now. You can get the One Ring as just like a $20 card.
Yeah.
You don't need the $2 million one. So like, I like that idea of multiple versions
Kenny just
that
gave
you
me
can
a
collect.
I was giving it to Kenny before we started this show, and it's like, do I have to get on one knee to hand him the card? And he's laughing. It's like, but yeah, no.
Yes, I mean, it's a fun game. I've been enjoying it. A couple other content creators have got into it, and I've been talking back and forth with them, and they enjoy it too. The nice thing is too, the creator CJ is really quick to like take the feedback of the people playing the game, and he's like staying up. He's doing this all himself. Like, he's staying up all night, programming things, changing things like from feedback. So, you know, the physical card game in Kickstarter might be a little different. There might be some different rules. There might be some different things because the digital client has already changed so much in 3 weeks. It came out on June 1st.
Yep.
So, you know, the physical Kickstarter cards might be a little different. But second edition will align with the changes that are being made. So, you know, I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. I'm really hesitant to go all in on anything right now after what happened with Genesis. Yeah. I am just very much back to my core game of Magic. Nice. I mean, like I said, the circle goes around.
The circle goes around,
Magic in the beginning, Flesh and Blood, to all these other card games, now back to Magic.
Yeah.
So, it's
strange.
strange.
So Mithril, like when you were explaining it to me, the first thing that popped in my head, it's kind of a reverse situation, say like Lightseekers, right? Where Lightseekers actually had the physical game out first, right? And then they went, it was digital, right? So
Yep. It's like a reverse situation of that. Very, very similar, yeah.
But then more people were more in tune to just playing the digital, which I don't even think it's being produced anymore. From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong,
not
but
sure.
I don't think it is. But I think there was some kind of failure as far as the digital aspect of it coming from the actual physical card game. But it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But I mean, you're enjoying it, right?
Yeah, and the one thing that drew me to it too is like the card frames are really cool, the artwork's really good, and it had this look and feel of like early TCGs. Not necessarily that these were good early TCGs, but like Spellfire and like you know, early Magic clones with the way they did the border and the artwork, and Mithril like looked like that to me. So that was the first thing that drew me to it.
Right. Speaking of Spellfire, I have an uncut sheet of Spellfire.
Really?
I have an uncut sheet. I have a big giant box full of Spellfire cards. Like
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan, Forgotten Realms fan as a kid, and reading about like Dritz Duerden and all the character, the dark elf character with the 2 scimitars.
Yeah.
R.A. Salvatore did all those books,
Actually,
and
Where's
actually,
the
hang on.
spell?
Ask him some good random questions. I'll be right back. I want to show
Okay.
him actually.
What do you?
yes,
what is
because
Spellfire?
that's okay.
From
Yeah,
when?
but Spellfire had all those characters.
Huh.
So, like, when I was a kid and I was reading those books, and then I was into Magic, and then I saw that there was a card game that had those characters in it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, because nowadays we take that for granted. Look at
Yeah.
Universes Beyond, the Lord of the Rings thing and all that. Like, we take that all for granted that, like, whatever this weird pop culture thing we're into is probably going to end up in a card game.
Mm-hmm.
And now that just, like, happens. Like, that never
Oh.
used to happen. That was weird.
That
So,
one.
I know it's rolled, but
Oh,
it was
dude,
the
that's
best way.
amazing.
Yeah, so here, I'll get Mackenzie to hold that, that
Just
upside down.
seeing the back of it even. That
Right?
brings back so many
You remember
memories.
this, right?
Oh my
Uncut
gosh.
sheet of Spellfire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it reminded me, Mithril's art at first reminded me of Spellfire, and
Yep.
the way the back of the cards look, and
Oh,
like
it's
just everything
D&D.
about it. And
Yeah, it's D&D based.
this
Second
is
edition.
this is like where a lot of sorcery artists, they did art for Spellfire too.
Yeah.
Like sorcery's, obviously all about the art, and people don't know about all these other games, or if they know, they don't know much about it. Now that I'm an old fogey, then I can share all my
Surprised you haven't
early
looked at this.
TCG knowledge.
Sitting in the back of the store for like ever.
Well,
and
some
just
of
like,
them is like advanced D&D, and then
Yeah.
they have Dark
Greyhawk
Sun
and yeah,
Greyhawk and Forgotten
All the
Yeah,
Realms.
that's so cool.
it is
Yeah,
cool.
I'd
eh?
love to get my hands on some Spellfire cards again.
I
had a
can
chance
hook you
to buy a
up.
box on
As I
eBay.
told you, I can hook you up. I got a whole
Oh,
bunch
dude,
of them.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me
got a
know
whole
what
bunch
you have, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, sometime
fantastic.
after the show or whatnot. So you're also going down another new adventure, from what I'm told. So
Yeah.
recently we've had Alex Miller on the show talking about convergence, right?
Yes.
So and he gave us some insight that he's looking for people to write lore. And which really intrigued me because already I got my wicked crazy brain working on some stuff, but I was also told that you're involved in this as well. So give us a little bit of background on this.
Yeah, so I'll go into, if you want me to kind of, I'm going to read verbatim kind of what I wrote here.
Okay.
A little story if you guys want to hear it.
Yes.
To give you a little bit of context, so Alex reached out to me, and I had been talking to him not long after, Genesis crashed about, hey, I have some really cool ideas, maybe look at them and see what you think. Well, Alex and Carl both looked at them, and they were like, yeah, that's really cool. Let's see if we can do something with that. So the one I came up with that I think that Alex is more keen on using first is an empire that I created called the Tadashi Empire. And they are one of the great kingdoms of this world that's known as Avanash. And as you know, Convergence is all about these different worlds colliding. So
together,
this is
yeah.
one of those worlds, but specifically this empire. So this empire, they were once known as the most kind and righteous empire on the planet. Their people led a happy and peaceful life. Think of farmers, bakers, fishermen, tradesmen, all those people working together to benefit like the good of the kingdom and their people. The rulers of this empire are known as the righteous, and they are men and women who devoted their lives to supporting and upholding the values of the empire and its people. So very peaceful, no conflict. If there is conflict, it's immediately stamped out in a friendly manner. It's just the most peaceful place you can imagine. They
Don't we
rule
wish
by
our
force.
world was like that, eh?
Yeah,
Right?
so they
That's
don't
awesome.
rule by force, and they're staunch pacifists. They don't want any kind of combat, fighting, arguments at all. So the righteous came about. I'll read this little backstory here that I created. So this is the legend of the Great Serpent. So it is said that the empire of Tadashi was formed when a great serpent fell from the heavens. The inhabitants of a nearby village watched as the massive figure fell from the sky, preparing for the shockwave that would follow its impact. Instead, the serpent's body came to a sudden stop, softly landing in a rice paddy on the outskirts of the village. As the villagers approached the serpent, they saw a huge gash running down the length of its massive body. Without hesitation, they approached the serpent, quickly working together to tend to its wounds. But soon they discovered that the wound was far too deep. Whatever had caused such massive damage had almost cut the serpent in two, and now it lay dying. The villagers held the serpent, comforting it as it passed on to its next life. It shed a single tear as its soul left its body. The tear hit the ground and turned into a massive jade stone, bathing the villagers and the surrounding lands in a soft green glow. Suddenly the rice plants burst with abundance, flowers bloomed, bamboo sprouts grew to trees in an instant. Villagers were cured of all illness, and the old had become young again. The righteous serpent had imparted a final gift upon the people who cared for it. From that day forward, the villagers who had cared for the serpent and received its gifts were known as the righteous. Together, they formed the Empire of Tadashi in honor of the serpent who had blessed them with the gift of abundance and everlasting life. So that's the backstory of Tadashi, the Tadashi Empire.
Nice.
So along with that, within that empire, there is a character that is named Oda the Betrayed. Now, he is what is known as a were-rat. So for any of you, I know Andrew, who loves werewolves, will probably know, a were-rat is basically like Splinter from Ninja Turtles. Think of that.
Cool.
So a quick backstory on this guy, because he's probably the main character of the story. He was high on a mountaintop foraging for his villagers, for the villagers, when this dragon fell. And when he saw it falling, he gathered his things real quickly to descend down the mountain and figure out what was going on to help the other villagers. But when he arrived, he realized that all the older villagers and the sick villagers, they were young again and they were healed. So they'd been cured of their afflictions. So Oda approached one of the righteous and said, hey, what happened? What's this miracle? I missed out on this. Why didn't anyone call me down? What's going on? And basically they explained what happened, that the dragon had blessed them. He leapt with joy, and this is the key part. He landed really hard, almost breaking his wooden leg in the process. So think of this little boy who, is kind of an outcast from society, helps everyone, but no one really pays attention to him, type of thing. Mm-hmm. So he wants the power. He wants to be healed. He's missing his leg. The righteous basically tell him, the gifts have already been given. You missed out on it. Tough luck, kid. Oh. Well, he didn't like that look. He didn't like that. He was confused. A stunned look kind of came across his face, and he removed his wooden leg, stuck out his thigh, and he said, I don't need to have the gift, but you can heal me. I'm fine without the gift, but please heal my leg. Well, the righteous explained to him, you don't need to be healed. There's nothing wrong with you. You were born this way. We don't heal people who were born the way they were. You don't have a defect, even though you think you do. Oda didn't understand this. He was a young kid. He didn't understand that you don't have to be perfect. Your faults, your ugliness, or whatever it may be that you see is not actually that way to most people. It's just the way you see yourself. So that evening, when the villagers went to bless the serpent before burying it, they were having a big feast, a big party in the dragon's honor. Oda didn't attend. He decided to sit on top of the mountain and basically look down at the village and cry and complain that he didn't get fixed. Okay. He woke up in the evening hour. He found that the fires had died down, the celebration had ended, and on his way back to the village, he looked upon the corpse of the great serpent and spoke to it, its lifeless body. He was like, "Why would you do this, for them, but not fix me?" And he turns around and he kicks the dead dragon, walks away all angry. And all of a sudden, he hears a voice, and in a really deep, demonic voice, say, "Poor boy." So he turns around, and he's like, "What the hell was that? Who's there?" And he hears another voice, and it's the same dark voice, but it says, "Drink the blood of this great serpent, eat its flesh. Do this, and you will be granted the blessing you seek." So Oda says, "Well, who are you? Why should I trust you? You're just some random voice speaking to me." And the voice responds, "I am you. We are one. Together, we will be everything." So Oda knew what was happening. He thought, it's the serpent. He's going to give me the power I wanted. I can heal myself. I'll be able to be one of the righteous. This is going to be great. So he says, "Oh, great serpent, thank you for your gift. I'll drink of your blood. I'll partake of your flesh. I'll become your vassal, or a vassal for your righteousness." So he removes his leg. He kneels down, cups his hands in the blood of the serpent, and as soon as he drinks it, he realizes it's vile, it's rotten, it tastes like metal.
Uh-oh.
And he takes a mushroom knife from his pouch and cuts a chunk of the flesh away from the dragon. He starts chewing and swallowing it before he can throw it back up because he knows it's disgusting. And when he was done, he sat in silence for a minute, just waiting for something to happen. But nothing happened. Nothing changed. He didn't feel different at all. He's just sitting there going, why did I do this? So it occurred to him that what he had done was wrong. It was disgusting. It was wrong. Nothing about it felt righteous. He stood up with a look of disgust on his face. He reached up, picked up his wooden leg, stuck it back on, or went to stick it back on, and that's when he realized that something had changed. He looked down, and he was standing, and he was holding his leg. So he's like, my leg's in my hand, how am I standing? So he looked down towards his thigh, and he was met with a scene of pure horror. A malformed appendage was protruding from the stump of his leg. The foot was a sickly purple color and was covered in claws that dug deep into the dirt. His panicked eyes quickly scanned the entirety of the limb. Instead of a kneecap, he saw a large yellow eye staring back at him. He screamed in pain and horror as the side of his calf muscle tore open, forming a long gash with a wide, grinning smile. Then his leg spoke to him. "I am you, I am one, and I will consume everything." So that's the story of the Tadashi Empire and Oda the little were-rat boy. Oda the Betrayed is what we call him.
Oh, that's vile.
That's
It's so good. Like, that story was really good, but vile.
An amazing start on it, right? So I mean,
I know that I went a little long on that, but that was
that's okay.
The backstory of the world and that very important main character. He's the big Sauron. This Oda the Betrayed is the big Sauron. You'll find out why. I've wrote the rest of that as well. But to give you an idea of kind of how I write this for Alex is, I first started just creating a bunch of characters and then developed the world around that. So the first character that I created for this was Kazebushi, which is a wind samurai, it's called. But basically it's someone who lives between the world of the living and the afterlife. And I always write kind of some combat abilities and how this character would actually play out in the battlefield when you're playing the game. So, for instance, Kazebushi is a wandering samurai with a jade stone set into his eye. The right half of his face is a pale white, and the left half is just a skeleton, just all skeleton, missing all the skin. And that's because he exists between the world of the living and the afterlife.
That's my D&D character. I play Tabaxi Reborn, and the backstory.
Nice.
Yeah, the backstory is there's this evil group of necromancers from a different world, different dimension. They were making these portals into my village, and they were stealing our young, and they were taking them back into their dimension and using them for experimenting and whatnot, and killing them and that. So my Tabaxian Ranger was chasing after one of them and started going through the portal, but the portal closed. And it turned,
so it's like half and half.
Half of, yeah, I got this, like, the way I described
That's
it is
awesome.
my Tabaxi's got this, like, definitive line straight down, and it's like kind of like a crystallized, transparent sort of material, but the other half of me is
super rad.
The actual Tabaxian, right? So it's really cool.
Yeah.
And so, like, being a ranger, my favorite enemy is necromancers and whatnot. But my DM allowed me to create my own weapon, which is created from the blood and skin and bones of dead necromancers.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, and every time I fire off the bow, it sprays all this blood all over the place, right?
That's awesome.
And as a downfall, if I'm hitting anything that's evil anything that's evil, it gets a -2 to damage, -2 to my roll. But my character doesn't actually know this effect, but it's because he built it out of the dead necromancers, right?
So yeah, that's very similar. I mean, that's funny how much we have in common in that way, because that's very similar to how this is. Like, the only difference is Kazebushi knows that he's living in between the world. So what he has to do basically is he has to avoid conflict, because he knows that if he takes a life, it moves him closer to a damned afterlife. So when he's in combat, he doesn't want to kill you. He wants to push you away and let someone else do the killing. So he's kind of, his blade is it's made from a green meteorite that shimmers and emanates a green hue, and it gives it the appearance of a whirlwind sweeping over the blade, which it actually is. So when you do your normal samurai move of slashing your katana, it'll knock stuff back.
Okay.
So yeah, I literally put in his character thing, don't confuse the pacifism for weakness, because if he needs to kill, he will kill everyone and damn himself just to make sure that whatever the righteous want him to do is done.
Nice.
So he's not afraid to defend himself or others if he has to. But the kills, when he kills someone, it causes him immense pain. So he doesn't want to, obviously. And then he has to carefully choose his actions, balancing good deeds with sins. So I've wrote some other ones here, but I'm not going to go over all of them. But there's one that I just want to mention, which Alex really liked, which was Kusada Kame and Haru Kaori, which I probably butchered that. Rotten Turtle and Springtime Fragrance.
Did you say Rotten Turtle?
Rotten Turtle.
Rotten Turtle and Springtime Fragrance. So the Japanese, I did a lot of investigating to try to get the translation right from Japanese to English. It's very difficult. I have a friend that actually, a student where I work, that took Japanese and lived in Japan for a while and helped me a little bit with that to try to get as close as possible. But yeah, so these two are really cool. Think of it as like a kid and his dog. Like everywhere this guy goes, this turtle goes with him. They're best buddies. They're fishermen together. Well, Kusada Kame ends up getting, I won't go too much into it, but he ends up dying, and he's brought back by the will of the righteous. But he's brought back in a way where he is still rotten. He's still falling apart. He'll live forever, but he was poisoned, and his body's just constantly falling apart and regenerating.
Okay.
So he gives off this terrible, terrible smell, and he also gives off clouds of poison, okay? So that's why it's perfect, because he's with Haru Kaori, which is Springtime Fragrance. So Springtime Fragrance masks the smell of the turtle. So no one knows when the two of them are near. They just smell flowers and think, oh, it's whatever. But yeah, so they're both pacifists, but they will defend themselves. They use the perfume to disguise the rotten scent, but he could also use perfumes to heal his friend. So think about throwing like perfumes across the battlefield or something to hit the turtle, to kind of make him blend in and no one smells him, and he can go and hide and do whatever. But Haru no Kaori is not an incorruptible, meaning that he is not someone who can die and then come back to life because of the righteous. The righteous give that power to certain people. So he moves just as slow as his turtle, because they're buddies. They just hang out together and, help defend the village. So that was the one Alex really liked, and I sent him I did like some quick AI art mock-ups, which everyone hates AI art, but it's perfect for this reason. When you just want to visualize what it is you're writing, and you're trying to get an idea, like it's really cool to have that as a tool. But yeah, there's so many more different characters and backstories, and it would take me forever to go through all this. I have like 10 pages of this story,
Nice.
and I have like 6 of another story. So yeah, it's a lot of really cool lore that I think you guys are going to like if it sees the light of day in the way that I hope it will. So
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
It's definitely an amazing start. The storyline sounds like phenomenal. Just pass by.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that first character there, when his leg appeared, that kind of reminds me of mine.
Yeah.
My character, because he's
a fish.
He's a fish, but he's
okay.
got a split personality. So
This is her D&D character.
Yeah, it's my
It has
D&D
nothing
character.
to do with conversions.
So almost like it's like he's talking to himself too. Type
Yeah,
of thing.
so what it was
Yeah.
he had like an imaginary friend, 'cause he's kind of an outcast, because his original character, him himself, he's a barbarian, and his his imaginary friend was very friendly and stuff like that, and was a warlock. And I built this character with a friend of mine who built a hedgehog, who's like a light domain cleric. And so
oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, and
I love
so
when animals turn into characters.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
And so the storyline is his hedgehog is from another dimension, and him and his group were doing a like a spell, like a really powerful spell or ritual, and in his dimension, his like church or cathedral, whatever it's called, was sitting in the same spot as a battlefield, like a massive battlefield in my dimension. And so
that's really cool.
And so two spells were set off at the same time, and they clashed. And it started a whirlpool in my dimension, which I got sucked into. And then we both ended up on the battlefield. And
awesome.
The clash of it made the imaginary friend end up in his head. And so now he's got two people in him. So when he first got to the battlefield, it was the warlock. And so then my friend's character slowly started to see the barbarian and the warlock clash, and that's when he realized, oh, this is two people I've been talking to.
Now, is this something you came up with?
Yeah, me and my friend, we came up with this together.
That's really cool. Like, honestly, that's really good. And especially, like, you should go after that stuff since you're young and you still got plenty of time to develop stories and stuff like that. Like, that's actually really cool. And I love that idea of, like, that's what really attracted me to the idea of convergence. Like, all the game that shall not be named stuff aside, mixing with it or whatever, I don't know how any of that's going to work or if any of that's going to work. Even if it doesn't, the idea of convergence and all these different ideas and writers and artists and stuff colliding is such a cool, like, fresh idea. Yeah. And I really like that, we all kind of thought, like, hey, let's build this new thing and work on it together just for fun, just to see what happens. Another, someone that I've been talking to a lot, there's a game called Six Forms coming out that's similar to Genesis in a lot of ways, but it's really, really deep. And the creator of the game, Kevin Dees, we've been talking a lot. He's going to have it out on Kickstarter soon, but he's sending me some he's sending me some decks. You can print to play it right now. So if you want more information on it, you guys, I will give you a link to where you can download print to play decks.
Yes,
definitely. And actually check it out. It's played on a grid. It's similar to Genesis, but one really cool thing that Kevin wants to do that we talked about the other day, and I'm pretty sure he said I could share this. Hopefully I'm not getting him in trouble. But he said, what he wants to do is, like, this first world, it's kind of like a convergence idea where these different planes and worlds are colliding type thing. But, like, the first world, he's using all these different artists just to get the first set out there. But what he wants to do is each set, and this is a crazy unique idea, he wants to have, like, people who normally wouldn't do fantasy art, or a group that you normally would see do, like, maybe fashion art or something, do a set all within that style. So the example he gave me is, think about if you took the world of Winnie the Pooh. Think of the artwork of Winnie the Pooh, right?
My wife would love that. My wife would love that.
So think about this. You take the artwork of Winnie the Pooh, and you make a creature, or you make a game that's all based on the same bears, the same rabbits, and that art style, but they have shields, they have swords, and it doesn't mean that it's graphically like bloody or something, but you take that art style of a children's artist, and you give them a chance to do a whole set that says, hey, we picked 10 children's artists, and they're working on this next set, and that set is going to encompass that one plane. And then the next set, maybe you take horror authors, and you say, we're going to find the best horror authors, and they're going to be the ones that do the next plane. And he can do this, all the way down, all these different styles. And my idea, I just said, was like, out of the blue, was the fashion thing. I didn't say this to him, but think about it. Like, you see the artwork like we saw in New Capenna, or some of these secret layers, where it's like, they look like fashionistas or divas. They're wearing all this fancy clothes and tuxedos and stuff. Like, maybe he'd find someone who does artwork for Vogue or something and say, let's do a thing that's all in that style.
That is a wicked idea.
The craziest, wackiest styles you could think of that don't really fit together. But each set would be compartmentalized in its own thing. And when he told me that, I was like blown away, because I thought so many people just stick to this like one art style or this one art team. And not only does that like spread the love around and get more people's name out there, but it's like this super cool idea that, like, you might have these artists that you love in a children's book now doing your fantasy game for a set, you know.
Right.
And it may not be for everyone, but it sounds super rad.
That does sound super awesome. It does give me a little bit of a feeling like so when I was talking to Alex and we were discussing Convergence, the feeling of kind of like the Universes system. However, they take actual IPs, right? So like, I mean, they had Cowboy Bebop. They're now into My Hero. They had Mega Man. So it's like you could play. You could play Mega Man versus Street Fighter, right, kind of thing. So, but I mean, having an actual full-length set similar to that, but specific artists like that are not used to doing artwork for, say, a TCG is absolutely an amazing idea, right? So, mad kudos to the guy, right, for coming up with that.
I was telling him, I grew up as a kid reading, and Steve-O, you might remember this because you're of an older age like me. There was a book when I was a kid called Little Critter. And Little Critter was pretty popular for a while, and they even had like little books at McDonald's. So my son, you know, he's 8, and I read Little Critter to him too. And that artist is like an amazing artist. Does all kinds of really cool children's stuff. So like I mentioned him already to Kevin. I was like, you got to look into like the Little Critter artists because a lot of these guys are getting up there in age, and you know, a lot of and I say guys as a general term, just you know, a lot of these people who do children's art and other art, they're getting up in age. So like, you got to grab him while you can, and he's not afraid to like spend the budget in the right places to make it something unique. And I think that's super rad. I think it's really unique.
So my wife just put a comment in there.
As long as
there's no bloody poo.
No,
Right?
I don't think he actually wants to use any of those characters because that licensing would be insane. He just wants to use that art style, but I get it.
Yeah.
Even that art style, you know, I don't think he's going to go for that. Yeah.
So don't worry.
But he wants it to feel special in each set.
Yeah, for sure.
See, speaking of like you know, artwork and Convergence and that, we had Carl on a couple weeks ago.
I watched that. Yep.
Yeah, and he had like a deck of cards that, you know, they were all just written on paper, and you know, he was just showing us a bunch of them, and one of the cards was a rat dragoon, but I read it wrong.
Yep.
And so I read it as rat dragon, and I'm like, whoa, rat dragon, that's so cool. And then he's like, no, it's a dragoon.
Are we getting the reveal because you were put on a mission for this and you had a deadline?
I don't have my book.
Oh, we don't get to reveal.
I am so sorry. I did.
She does have artwork for the
what
rat
they
dragoon.
did. So when we had, he was like, when we had made the joke about me saying it wrong, I was like, you know what, that'd be really cool to draw. And so I started searching up some ideas of like rat dragons that other people have drawn, and they're like tiny, fuzzy, cute little creatures. I'm like, no, take this in like 10 times the size of humans, like the big, giant dragons, but like a
Wrong
rat.
kind of dragon.
Yeah. And then then we had Alex on, and we were telling him about this, and Alex is like, you need to do that. And then even Carl's in the chat, and he's like, I want to see this rat dragon.
Yeah. So she has. I can vouch for her. She has. I don't know if she's actually fully finished it, but I've seen her. Is it finished?
No, it's not finished.
Okay,
they wanted a full finished piece. I'm gonna put that on like my Wacom. Like I'm gonna like actually do that
I
on
can't wait
digital.
to see it. That sounds amazing. I actually have a piece of artwork that Xander, big, huge Genesis fan, probably has the biggest collection of Genesis stuff in the world at this point. I mean, he's basically bought everything Genesis. If I can share it with Kenny, I'm going to send it to you right now. If you can pop this up on the screen, I don't know if that's going to be difficult for you to do or not. Xander actually worked on this for like 2 days. I didn't realize Xander was a digital artist. So he created it himself, but then he used AI to fill in the glass and different things on this picture you're going to see. Like, he used the AI to figure out what the best way to fill it. I hope I'm explaining it right.
Whoa!
Yeah, so this is supposed to be the dragon that fell in the Tadashi Empire.
Nice.
So, he did all this and then put it in the computer and did it whatever AI magic he did, because I don't know much about how that works. But so that's what he came up with. But I think he said he used some sort of AI to like look at the nearest neighbor color and then figure out what the opposite would be for filling in all the glass frames, kind of like how they do with real stained glass. Like they try to, piece it all together before they glue it, type of thing. So I hope, if I'm explaining that wrong, Xander, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that was what he said how it was created. But yeah, the artwork is his. Like, and Alex was like, "Holy crap! I can't believe Xander can actually like. I didn't know he was an artist." I'm like, "Me neither."
Nice.
So that was a really cool inspiration for my story. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see yours, Mac, because if you're doing stuff too, I mean,
Thank you.
the more the merrier. That anyone that can help out with this, you know.
Yeah, I turned to Dad because I've been working on like a couple like chibi arts for like games. So I made like 2 funny ones the one day when I was here at the store of Genshin Impact.
That's cool.
And I was like, the one thing that I would like to do at least once, even if it fails the first time, is vend possibly at Anime North. I see all those art vendors, and I'm like, this would be so cool to do.
Yeah, she's taking her art
Yeah.
to the whole next level, right?
I want to do art as a career. I'm hoping to go to college for animation.
Well, see, I started out with that. I actually went to school. I have a degree in visual communication, so I have the video production, graphic design background. I've been an artist my whole life up until, I don't know, when I hit my early 30s, late 20s. I just kind of, I don't know, I sat down one day to draw and I was just this isn't for me anymore.
Cardboard Cohorts is saying everybody in here is in their 20s. So
okay.
Oh, thanks!
We're all in our 20s. Yeah.
So when I was like 10, no.
I've done college.
We can start saying that, yeah.
When I was
I'm giving him mad praise for that one due to my age, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm 20 again, woohoo!
Well, real quick here, I actually did. I have a sketchbook. I'll show you one of the last things
Nice.
I ever.
See, y'all went back in time.
You gotta tell us
skeleton.
what's your favorite soda?
Oh,
Favorite soda?
Yeah, favorite soda.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah,
There you go.
random,
Huh.
I know. Or Cherry Coke, one of the two.
Yeah, the Baja Blast is so random. I was not expecting that.
It's only a Taco Bell. So
Yeah.
like, it's the only place you can get it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, anymore. I remember they used to have them in cans, but not anymore.
You can get them in bottles everywhere.
I didn't know
the
that.
Baja
I
Blast.
saw
Not
a
here,
video the
not
other
in the
day.
US.
I don't know if
You can
you're able to get them in the.
500 milliliters.
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to get them in the U.S. I saw a video the other day. They actually came up with
Off
a
topic.
Baja Blast. No, it's not off topic.
My fault.
They made a Baja Blast hot sauce.
Oh my god.
I'd seen a video of it.
that.
They only made like 750 of them, so I
That's
doubt you
crazy.
could probably get it. But yeah, I saw a video the other day. She's like, they have like a Baja Blast hot sauce. I'm like, what
That was
is
a
that?
good drop-in question to surprise me, knock me off my game
That's
too.
so random.
She
the
was
last
supposed to
thing
be
I
on top
drew-
of that, though.
Well,
What'd you
I
say?
know, we're getting deep into this conversation. It's
Yeah,
awesome, though.
no, that's okay.
Okay.
But the last thing I drew was actually a skull that I sent to Damian, and that was the inspiration for my Scheming Skeleton art that I have on my playmat and all
Yep.
that, like my channel art. When the video opens, Damian created that based off of something I drew. And then I sent him the original, and he was like, that's amazing, no one's ever sent me their original before. Like, he loved it. But, like, I would say the last time I was drawing, like, I was sketching things like this.
whoa,
Holy
Oh, that's
cow.
cool.
that's so neat.
Like, just weird creatures that,
Yep.
like, come from my imagination. So, like, I still like to do that style of art. Like, I mean, just
Abstract
random
stuff.
doodles that turn into
Yeah.
creatures.
That's cool,
But
I like that.
I can't, like, sit down anymore and try to do, like, professional artwork. I just can't focus on it, and my art style has now become, like, doing the videos and doing the thumbnails. Like, I found a passion in that side of art versus actually physically drawing. The
Nice.
drawing I do now is more like just to get ideas out of my head.
See,
you know, so.
I'm the opposite. I hate digital stuff.
Really, yeah.
Aside
it's funny,
from, like-
it just changes, you know.
Yeah.
As you get older, things change, and it just changed for me.
Like, it depends on the digital art. Like, when it comes to, like, sketching and drawing, because I have a Wacom tablet, I like
Yeah.
that because it's still, like, drawing something, but I'm in, like, photography and media art classes in school. I hate doing that.
But
hate
she's
it.
so good at it. You should
See-
see some of her photography. It's absolutely phenomenal, but she just doesn't like doing it.
I told my teacher this the other day. I'm like, I've taken photos where the outcome has been like so perfect right off the bat, and I like having photos like that. But to get into a career in photography where I could possibly be taking photos for someone else, I'd have to sit there for a week editing all those photos, and that's the one thing I
Yeah.
hate about it.
It's not fun. You grow into it your own way, too. Like, I was the weird kid in my class because I was spending all of my photography days at the cemetery. Like, I was taking pictures of old gravestones. I was taking pictures of statues.
That's
Here in Ohio,
cool.
we have a lot of really old graves. I mean, right down the street from my house here, we have Revolutionary War soldiers buried. Like, people don't realize Ohio is, like, East Coast old. Like,
Yeah.
I was originally from Massachusetts. So we grew up like with pilgrim graves. So like there are old graves like that in Ohio. So some of these cemeteries have, you know, wooden graves still, metal graves, like really, really weird features that you don't see everywhere else. So I did something different from everyone else, where everyone else was like downtown taking pictures of lights and buildings and people walking by real fast. And like I hated all that modern looking shit.
Yeah.
You guys know, I like dead things. I like the idea of history
Yeah.
and old things. Like that's my thing. Like I'm into all that.
We're like
So-
that as well. I don't think I'm allowed to state what I've done in the graveyard before, so I mean, we're just we won't talk about that.
I have bugs
But,
sitting
yeah,
in my
she's
room.
got dead
I have
bugs.
dead bugs.
Yeah, that she sees a dead bug that's really cool. She's never seen it before. She'll put it in a little jar and she keeps it. It's like,
That's
Yeah.
a sign of either an artist or a psychopath.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
so
right?
you're okay.
yeah.
And see,
Call the police.
hopefully. The funniest thing is he gave me my first beetle.
Yeah, I did.
And around the time he gave me that, we were watching the Netflix show Dahmer.
Oh God.
What's his story? His dad took him out to get roadkill.
Oh boy.
I will say I'm gonna add a question to this thing.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how much time you guys have left, but I'll add a question real quick. So, a question to myself that you guys should have asked is, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen? And my answer would be, I work at a college, and I fixed the AV equipment in the classrooms.
Oh no.
And I was in a science room one day where they have like everything in the jars, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a skeleton on the far side of the room, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that looks like a real skeleton. And I go close to it, and it absolutely was. It is
Really?
now. It has now been hidden away. The college didn't like that people realized it was real, and they hid it away, which they should have done years ago, because that's really taboo nowadays.
Right.
But apparently, someone at the college back in the 1800s donated their 14-year-old daughter to science. So it's a 14-year-old girl skeleton just in the room when I'm there fixing equipment for how many years, and I had no idea it was real until one day I walk over and I'm like, that is a real person. Like, it was so messed up. Like, so yeah, like, even though I say I'm into dead stuff and all that, like, that was a little too much. I'm like, I
Okay,
did
yeah.
not expect to see that. Yeah, that was pretty strange.
That is creepy as hell. Yeah. No, that would really freak me out.
Just be glad you didn't hear any giggling.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It started talking
I
to
was
you.
there at night alone in all these rooms fixing stuff when I used to work the night shift, so that's why it was like even more upsetting.
The graveyard
shift.
shift.
Every time I
The
walked
graveyard
Yeah.
shift.
Oh
Kenny
my
just said the
God.
graveyard shift. That'd be kind of
around, sure
creepy.
was, yeah.
You never heard voices or strange noises or anything?
No,
Like,
nothing like that.
nothing.
I just remember walking up to it, like I said, and I realized what it was, and I'm just kind of like, that's really strange. And then it disappeared one day, and then I found out that they were like, students realized it, and once
Yeah.
that happened, then the school was like, yeah, we better take this off display.
yeah,
Probably
that
shouldn't
would
have
be.
that.
I
a
hope
little
that
over.
I hope they still have it like, nice somewhere and they didn't just like, dispose of it. That'd be pretty sad.
Well, I think they have like there's like what's it called, the Mutter Museum in Pennsylvania, which takes medical oddities and things like that from different colleges and different museums and stuff when they don't want them. So yeah, I'm sure it probably went somewhere like that because it was. I mean, it had been there for over 150 years. So
Wow.
Wow.
it's been there for a long time. But yeah, that was kind of. Even though I'm into all that stuff, that was a little too much.
It's just because
No
it's
doubt.
real. I think
No
like
doubt.
Yeah.
we look at all these like dead animals and dead insects and it's like, oh yeah, like that's really cool, or like some people might be grossed out by it, but it's like you see a real skeleton, it's like
When it comes, to the
what?
human, right? It's a
Well,
bit different.
think about it. That's not. I know we're getting off topic, but that's how early medicine was done. I mean, they just would cut apart, disinfect, dissect anything that was a disinfect. They did disinfect also, but they dissected everything to study it. Look at Leonardo da Vinci and drawing pictures of muscles open and stuff. And I think that draws a lot of inspiration to. Obviously fantasy art and stuff today when you see some of these incredible artists like Seb McKinnon in Magic, like, oh my god, his stuff's insane, and it's very much like a classic masters type of style. So, yeah, I mean, whatever influences your art to help you, draw something better and bring your creation to life. As long as it's not too weird, right?
Yeah, it all depends. I know Damian kind of lit a spark in me too with my artwork because, running the store, doing a bunch of stuff, kids, life, etc., not having drawing as much. But our wall, like I don't know if you'd seen that video, where we actually had Damian draw on a wall inside our house.
I didn't.
Yeah, so when he was down for the championship, we got to spend a day with him, and he came over to our house. We actually streamed it, and he drew a picture on our wall at home, right? So,
that's amazing.
And then around that picture, we've been adding art, like between Mack-Attack, myself, and my son Cam as well, and my daughter Shiley as well. Like we've gotten
almost the whole wall.
Almost the whole wall's done, right? So, and it's like
that's so cool.
Working on it.
I love Damian too. He is probably he's one of the top people I've ever met in my life. I mean, just such a genuine, nice, good person, and so giving, so caring.
Oh yeah. Like the guy
I can't
is
say
such an amazing spirit.
I mean, he's just such a cool dude.
We took a nature walk with him.
We took a nature walk with him. Yeah,
really?
he was doing some photography and whatnot.
I brought my camera.
Yeah, by far one of the most memorable days in my life is spending time with him.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's such an incredible artist and such a good person. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. Favorite music.
Favorite music? Oh, like time period of music?
Oh,
type of music?
Yeah, whichever.
Who's your favorite band? Okay, we'll make it easier. Who's your favorite band?
Favorite band, if I had to pick right now, would probably be... Oh gosh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, you can't ask that question.
I would say right now it's been diving really deep back into Linkin Park.
Linkin Park.
Ever since Chester died, I jumped really.
Oh yeah.
And there's been the new music release since the Meteora 25th anniversary thing.
Yeah.
So I've been jumping back into that, but I am a mid to late '90s kid through and through. Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I all the '90s stuff. Weird stuff too that people wouldn't even think of, like Collective Soul and Soul Asylums. You know, just all the '90s stuff. That's
90s music.
I think that's how everyone is. You know, you grow up in a time period listening to that type of music, and
kind of sticks with you.
That's just what you stick with.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails, Tool. I mean, it's just all that stuff. Yeah, I know you got the tattoo for you. Yeah, I mean, there was this 9 Inch Nails period I went through, like, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, where it was like all I was listening to. So yeah, I go through these periods of refinding like the music I used to listen to. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think it's we're probably way past due, but
Favorite pizza topping.
We can keep going on.
Everyone's gonna hate me for this. Ham and pineapple.
Typo negative from Andrew. Yes.
Yeah. Ham and pineapple are my absolute.
Oh!
Yeah.
How many enemies did you just make? Pineapple on pizza? Tons. Oh.
Tons.
You made multiple enemies tonight in one video.
She can't stand pineapple.
Yeah, get the pineapple on pizza. Get the pitchforks. Yeah.
Get the pitchforks. Nobody likes pineapple on pizza.
People hate it.
Yeah.
I think I love to tell everyone too, though, because they're always like,
just to get that reaction.
And it's even worse because I'm Italian. So my family makes real Italian food, and I ruin it with ham and pineapple.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't like ham. No, I don't like ham. So we'll leave it at that. And
Canadian
then just like
bacon.
I don't like ham. I don't like ham. Sorry.
He says Canadian bacon.
It's Canadian bacon.
I like
That's
bacon.
what they call it. Yeah.
I like bacon. I don't like ham. What? Oh, I'm gonna get
You
attacked.
call ham? Wait, what? No,
you call ham Canadian bacon?
That's female
bacon.
Yeah, that's female bacon.
That's female bacon.
In America, they call it Canadian bacon. That's what they call ham.
I think you need to start telling every single American you know that that's false.
Ham is totally different from
what
we
Canadian
consider
bacon
Canadian bacon. It's female bacon,
cut, right?
Yeah.
Like when I worked at McDonald's as a kid, they would be like the Egg McMuffin. It came with egg, cheese, and Canadian bacon, not ham. You couldn't say ham. You had to say Canadian bacon. So I thought that was some Canadian thing that you guys did.
No,
that's you guys.
Oh wow,
that's too funny.
That is too funny that you cross that one, imaginary line, and then everything becomes totally different, right?
Everything changes. Now I'm not invited ever again.
No.
Revoke your passport.
No. Well, actually, if you ever come back up to Canada or whatnot, you come and visit us, we'll definitely make sure to order you a pizza that has ham and pineapple on it, for sure.
Yeah, we actually, my wife and I are planning to come up and specifically come to your store at some point. I just don't know when. We're maybe thinking in the fall. We have our passports, obviously, now, so we're we're good to go. And that was one trip I said I'd like to do is come up to see your guys' store. So
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
And then we'll
Yeah,
take you
you're
for
always
pizza.
welcome. We'll take you for pizza.
Yes.
You eat ham and pineapple pizza in front of me, I swear to God.
For sure.
That's the only reason I'm coming up. I just made that all up. No, seriously, we want to come up.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're always welcome. Love to have you and hang out one day.
That'd be fantastic.
I am really specifically looking forward to seeing your continued work on Convergence,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So,
I'm
man.
so
Thank
excited.
you.
and I know Alex had offered to me as well to, any thoughts or ideas that I had going towards the game and whatnot. I just want to run past this. I haven't written anything down really, but I've been building the storyline in the back of my head.
Sure.
So the one section that I've been working on is it's an entity that becomes into a physical form, and
that's cool.
yeah. So the start of it's kind of like the discussion that this. Like I'm going to say it's represented by female form because that's what it turns into, but it talks about how it got to that point. Like all the words are written in my head and whatnot. I got to start writing it down right before
You just got to get it down, yeah, because you'll start to.
And more of it's coming, right? But and it's like she felt like she was accepted by the gods as being the entity and whatnot, but through the transition of becoming into the physical form, she's got this feeling that she was exiled, and she builds up a lot of rage and torment, and the physical form that she takes expresses that, right? And the place where she lands is not accepting her, right? So and she becomes like very chaotic and evil.
That reminds me a lot of like Adiris and Rain, and kind of how their backstories are in a way. Like the rage.
Yeah.
Like Adiris had a lot of rage, and then like Rain with like these spirits and stuff talking to her and like driving her crazy, basically. So yeah, I love that idea. Obviously, you saw it within Oda. You don't know.
Yeah.
Now something's a part of Oda, and we don't know. I know what that is. But you guys know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I can't wait to hear it though. Can't wait to hear it.
Hopefully, I'll get to tell you.
Yeah.
But like the one thing with all this is, I told Alex in the beginning, I don't mind, donating all my stories towards this effort, and just having having my name credited for what I created is the coolest part for me.
Yeah.
Just having my name credited with whatever the lore was is just amazing to know that I contributed to something and that I had fun doing.
It's a great.
So,
it is a great feeling. I mean,
so I hope everything ends up working out good and they can get something together, and that I'll be the first one there to be playing it on my channel or showing off whatever it is. So
I'll fight you for it. No.
Well, maybe not the first one. I mean, I'll be.
No. I'm not.
People,
I'm not like
will
that.
Gladly show everything off. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. We're looking forward to actually really getting deep into Convergence as well. We're going down a couple of other different paths as well, doing a transition as far as the show and whatnot. But
that's cool.
yeah, so something really bad recently happened. However, we're going to get into that on a separate stream. To the direction where we're taking one side of the coin, but on that note, I just want to say thank you so much, Jordan, for joining us tonight on one side of the coin.
This was a blast. I'd love to come back on again.
Yeah, we'll definitely look forward to having you back on in the future for sure.
Thank you.
How can people reach out to you?
So you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Scheming Skeleton, The Scheming Skeleton. That's usually, I do the social media stuff, but I'm only really on there to repeat what I put on my YouTube page. So, just check me out on YouTube, The Scheming Skeleton. Trading card game content, video game content, mostly trading card games. But
I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, she follows you on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on all that social stuff.
Yep.
It's just, it's fun to basically be able to communicate with the community on a daily basis using all those different platforms. And that's what's fun. If something's on my mind and I don't want to make a whole video about it, then I can post on there. But most of the time, it's like my community page on YouTube is where I post pretty much everything. So,
nice. But keep it up. Keep up the great work. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and if anyone wants to reach out to me directly about anything, I've had a few people reach out to me about, I just wanted to talk to you about this card game and get your thoughts and stuff. The schemingskeleton@gmail.com. feel free to. That's my business email for Scheming Skeleton. So yeah, just reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions or anything. So
Yeah, no, really appreciate all the work that you put out there on your channel and
thanks,
whatnot.
man.
I
Thank
follow
you guys. Thank both of you.
Keep up the great work, and yeah, once again, we look forward to having you back on the show in the near future. We can talk some more Convergence or whatever else you got on the go at the time, right? So
Yeah, that's awesome, and thank you, Kenny, too, for handling all the live stream stuff. You made that really easy, so thank you.
Hey, no problem.
yeah, we, as I said, we can't thank Kenny enough for being behind the screen there, doing all this stuff, right? So, and it's made a huge step up for our viewers as far as keeping things organized and looking
things
pretty
look
for
really,
us.
really nice, guys. I meant to say that. Things look really nice, and, you know, it's a slow go, the improvement, even with my stuff. Like, it took me a while to buy this stuff, and thank you to my viewers and patrons who helped me, afford some of this stuff I have. You guys make this possible, and same with you guys with what you're doing. The fans and the people who are watching make it possible, because why would you do it for fun for so long, but you want to make sure your message gets out there. You want to make sure that, the content you enjoy creating, other people enjoy. So things look really clean and neat and streamlined, and I've really been loving the streams lately from you guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, on behalf of one side of the coin, I'm Steveo the Gamer.
Mack-Attack.
And thank you once again to the Scheming Skeleton.
Hey.
You end it?
My bad.
Oh, there it is. Okay, have a great night, everybody, and take care, Jordan.
Bye.
Be safe.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
See ya.
guys. Take care.
You're welcome.
Have
Bye.
a great one.